Welcome back to the lab. It's really bright and sunny outside. It's been raining, but that's not important. Right, R33 GTR. Have you forgotten all about that? I haven't forgotten all about that. That has been on the hoist for a very, very, very long time now. The last time there was an entry in my little diary, that's so annoying. That's better, was 28th of March. So nothing has happened to this poor beast since then. I don't think I've even touched it. I looked at it a couple of days ago, pulled the cover back a little bit. You'll see in the background there, it's drooping down a little bit for the next job that I knew was on the list. Now, the low IQ people out there get confused between reasons and excuses. They seem to think that every reason is an excuse. They like to use that to abuse people and, I don't know, just generally throw negativity out there about them. But the reason there's not been a lot happening on that is because the attention that I can spare, pause there, there you go, has gone on to this thing here, basically. And I'm still on reduced hours due to this stupid shenanigans going on with this knuckle here that's just a pile of crap. It would be the equivalent, remember my mill that I've wiped it off because it's going good now, and I wrote a heap of crap on here. That would be my knuckle presently. So the time that I can spare has gone on to this and some other things way in the background there, sitting on a nice piece of foam to protect it, a soft towel rather, is that wing there, that's due to go out shortly. Can we zoom back? Oh, what a nuisance. Right, onto the subject at hand, this one here. So I ripped all this back so I can get up here and look into this area here, because the owner wants to put an oil cooler on the car, and this is basically where they put them, is here, and this is the exact issue right here that I've just pointed out accidentally. So sometimes part A fits a car and part B fits a car, and then you can't fit part A and part B. If I scan back there and show you that like that. So the issue here is this radius comes out way too far. That's fine when you don't want to put an oil cooler there. But when you want to stuff an oil cooler in that general area, this is wrong and this is wrong. So we have to chop this back shorter and have this a coupler, or we might do a Wiggins clamp on it. And then have a tighter radius on this to get this out of the way, so that edge there will probably end up way back here, and then we will have enough room to put a decent sized oil cooler in there. So there's things like that. Like, yes, there's so many of these GTRs out there that people will have done it every way that you can possibly imagine. You could probably squeeze an oil cooler in between the intercooler and the radiator up in there. There is sort of room for that, but it gets difficult with hoses and stuff. Where do you run all the hoses? And on this other side here, you can see a bit of a boost leak here. There's definitely not enough room on this side. You can see there's the factory blow-off valves and everything there. I believe he wants to retain those. I don't think we've got a let's modify the hell out of it budget while we're at it. This is pretty much do some mods that are required or essential or smart to do, and the rest of it is just fix. I'd like to fix that. So whoever did the sump on it, I mean, they've done a pretty good job of the welding and everything. That all looks fantastic, but this is not right. But that's not on my list of jobs to do. God, it hangs so low, like it's just asking to get smashed on something. But never mind, I've looked at that a million times and ignored it, and I'll have to continue to do so. There is still a lot to put back together on this poor car, and we have to take it apart. I pointed out very early on that we've got to put a drive shaft hoop in here, maybe two, I can't remember. One, I think, the looks of it, based on where the hoop is, the hanger rather, back there. So a bit to do. I have even considered whether we are dropping this engine down to do our oil filter adapter block that goes in there. It may be just easier just to ping everything undone. There's no brake fluid in it in it anyway. Actually, no, there is, but we're going to change the brakes. So I may just drop the whole lot down, and then it's real easy to do that, and then just put it back up when you're done. So first things first, I'm going to get my oil cooler out, and I'm going to see how much room we need to make, and make a plan and see whether my plan will actually create that much room. All right, well, that's the most amount of work that's happened on this literally in months. How embarrassing. It's how things go. So rang the customer after a few changes in direction, just bouncing ideas backwards and forwards, and we've decided that this won't go back in the car because that kind of gets in the way. Actually, I can't really show you all that easily, but it comes up through here to get to there, and it kind of just creates this big intrusion of stuff in this general area here. We decided, originally what I was thinking is I'd make an aluminium pipe that would come off here, duct around, sneak it down underneath here, and turn the corner very sharply like a silicon elbow or something, and come up here and reshape this so that we join back in, and then you have your recirc valves and all that. Then we decided, nah, let's just go for an aftermarket one, and all this can just foxtrot Oscar, and we'll just vent the atmosphere over here. And in fact, we could achieve that same thing just by that. It's done. But it won't look very nice, and people might grizzle about it. You could put a filter on here to stop any ingestion of FOD, but most of the aftermarket ones don't worry about that either. So that's fixed, but there may be a valve coming for that. Over on this side, I talked about whether we chop this off and whatever. So if we're not putting a pipe through here, we can actually come around this corner much, much sharper and come up to here, and gives us heaps more room over here for an oil cooler. Imagine if we've only got a 3-inch pipe out here. Loads of room for our oil cooler. So that's about where we're at. And the intercooler's on the bench here. It's about to get this chopped off here as a starting point, because it gets a little bit funky if you come a little bit further. It starts getting wider and a bit harder to get a corner going on. It can go there for now. I do have that. If we chopped that off there and welded that on there, yeah, it's a pretty sharp corner. In fact, that's more than we need. But that would achieve very good things, I believe. So let's get into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it as it sits here, so it's downhill. I'm going to put compressed air into this end, so there's a draft going this way. So none of the crap that's coming from this being cut here is going to work its way back into here. And certainly only as far as the tank. It's not going to, there's no way it's coming back up into here. And then we'll tip it on its end and thump it on the bench and blow air through it and get rid of all the crap. So much more room for activities. Lots and lots of room. I even used the original part. Okay, G-Ready didn't weld on that section on the end, but I did. I could grind that off because it's not really their thing anymore, but we're not going to worry about it, are we? That's sufficient. It's not a thing of beauty. It doesn't need to be. No one's going to see it. My welding's pretty, well, it's all right sometimes. But that'll do. It's not a like real seriously sharp corner like you might think. That's totally fine. It's quite tucked in on the inside there. Sure, but it's not going to affect the horsepower or anything like that, or the flow in any way, shape or form, compared to it's kind of what it had on there originally. It's basically the same as that. So that'll be good. I suppose we want to see, don't worry about this. This is going to disappear as well. We may even be able to get the oil cooler mounted in there horizontally, like fins vertical, tubes horizontal. There could be enough room. Let's have a look. Oh, it's too big. Look, it's as big as the front of the car. It is too big. But not like that. That would work. Or perhaps that might be the way. certainly will... Oh, I can't do this, hang on. It'll fit like that, piece of cake. That's probably going to be how it ends up going in there. Yeah, maybe a bit more of an angle, like that. That'll do. Stand back there, like that. See, good. Solid. All right. Top side on the 33 GTR. Down in here somewhere, in amongst all the plethora of tubes and stuff going every which way imaginable. Well, I mean, generally that way. Some tubes. There's one there for the recirc valve, blow-off valve, recirc valve, either or, whatever you want to call it. The air that we're not jamming into the throttles here, and we're recircing all the way through the tube that's not there anymore, and it was coming past where the oil cooler is, back up into here and into the turbo intakes into these tubes here. That system's not being used anymore, so it's all staying over on that side. It's just going to atmosphere, so we can ditch all that stuff out of the way. In particular, this tube here, that's in the way. I want to put my nice oil filter and everything in this general area here. We've got a lovely Ryco high performance filter there, and Aeroflow Vernatherm, we used to call them in the aircraft industry. It's an oil thermostat thing. So I've got to pull all this apart to get in there to do that, and while it's down on the ground, I had to move old mate out of the way there. While it's down on the ground, I'm going to take the inlet manifold off it, inlet plenum off it, and you'll be wondering why. That's to, pardon me, KFC for lunch, yum yum. Ditch a bunch of stuff that's in here and put a nice simple oil filter adapter type thing in there, oil block, to remove a bunch of guff that we just don't need anymore. I think this is, yeah, that's right, this is his oil gauge that used to go into the cockpit, which is going away. We won't be needing it anymore, I think. One inlet plenum removed, and the throttle bodies as well. And fuel rail injectors, I'll take the injectors and get them cleaned and flow checked. This thing has been sitting for quite some time now. The last thing we need is an injector to be partially blocked and destroy the motor immediately. I reckon whoever put this together may have been taking the piss and having a bit of a laugh at times. There's not really any examples left here, but some of the hose clamps were in the stupidest position you could possibly imagine. Made it take quite a lot longer than it could have done to take apart. Never mind, that's how it goes. That's why I get paid the big money. Crap money. There's still a lot to come off here. The factory oil cooler gets deleted, the oil filter manifold, I'm going to call it. Some people will call it other things, but technically that's what it is. That's going to come off. Some of this plumbing, it might be easier to do it another way. We'll just have a look. So still more disassembly to go. This thing's got an Sump on it. So it had this valve up here that was kind of in the way, so it's been undone and dropped down to get space to get under the manifold, the intake plenum rather, to get things undone, to get that off. We've got stuff going all over the place. I actually don't know where that one was supposed to go, just off the top of my head. I'm going to have a think about that. Figure that one out. Because clearly there's a line that goes off to the back of the car there, after the valve. And this one comes back and it goes into here. Where did that go? I do not know. I have to figure all this stuff out. Fun, lots of fun. A little bit more light on the subject. Was I babbling about being confused about this just random fitting sitting here all by itself and nothing for it to go on? I think I was. A little bit more light shows that we've actually, of course there's an adapter block there, isn't there, onto the factory block. And there would be two fittings, wouldn't there? So we can see one there and there's the other one underneath it. So standing here and forgetting what was going on and all that, there you go. That makes more sense, doesn't it? So, making a lovely mess down here. No doubt there's a, I don't even want to think about what's on the floor. There's a nice random nut just sitting just there. My fault probably. That'll be one of these ones off the inlet manifold that I dropped. So, I'm going to continue ripping apart, and that'll be it for today. That'll be enough. Get that off there. You watch me and I won't be able to resist, and I'll put the block on there and then I'll start running lines. This had taken far too long. My battery's gone flat on the big light that I had. Look, it's there. It's not very easy to see. It's hiding behind things, but how much better is that? Just 2 fittings on the side of the block. I'll deal with all this mess tomorrow, sort out what we need and what we don't need. This big dog leg thing probably can go away. Yeah, 2 fittings on the side of the block, and then there's just 2 hoses that come out, go across underneath the car over into that corner, and they'll go, excuse all the massive mess. Someone's been in a hurry. They'll go in and out of there. It's upside down. There you go, in and out of there, and then the other 2 over there. Oh, come on. They go to the cooler. So, and then we've got this fancy Ryco filter on there. That should really have blanks on that, shouldn't it? But that's fine. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock. That's enough for today. Sorry guys, I've been way under the pump. It's Saturday and there hasn't been a video in ages, and you'll be wondering what's going on. Sorry, interrupted. I don't even remember where I was up to, but we've got to get this knocked out. So I've put some hose clamps on our intake system. All the hose clamps, I believe. Yes, everything. Everything is done under here. There's a couple missing in the engine bay, and I don't know what we're doing with this, whether that just stays like that. It'll work, put a filter on the end of it. Gold. The sump, I talked about the sump, and the owner came and had a look and took away some stuff that we don't need anymore, and had a look at all the nice clamps and everything. We need a few more of these. That style of clamp there. Need a few more of those. We'll get that sorted soon. I talked about this, and yeah, he wants to fix it because he is concerned that it does hang down pretty low. It's the lowest part on the car. The guys that did that basically stuffed it up at the time, and he didn't really pick up on it until it was too late and the company doesn't exist anymore and all that sort of carry on. So we discussed cutting it right off, the whole bottom section, cleaning out the sump and everything because it's going to make a mess. We'll do it with the saber saw so we don't get dust and everything up inside the engine, and then welding it all back on. And then we discussed there might be an option just to actually cut the fins off on that side and taper it down. And that seemed like a really good idea at the time, and we both thought that was a pretty good idea for resolving aesthetically, not so much, but ground clearance, absolutely. That fixes the real concern about ground clearance, about that hanging down and getting a smack. But now that I think about it, for the extra time and let's do the job properly, I probably will be cutting that sump off. I'll have a chat with the owner again shortly. Yes, so there you go. Sorry about the delay in the video. There's stuff and things going on and madness. Good though, good news though, is this is a lot better. It's still got a funny lump there on that knuckle that you can see that moves around, and it is still a bit of a dick at times. It does hurt, but I can do things and get on with it, and in fact get a full day's work, and it's generally fine unless I bump it and smash against things while I'm working, then that sucks. But I can get a day's work done, good, yay. It's a bit painful after that, bit of Panadol at night maybe, but it's getting there, yay! All right, I'm going inside, cold drink, edit this. It'll be a terrible video, but thank you for watching, and 5,000 subscribers. Thanks guys, appreciate that. Bit of a milestone for a little just a one-man band in the little small garage there. So, bloody awesome. Just trying to think about whether we talk about this other news that's hanging around in the background, bad news, but we won't. We'll talk about that later. All right, cheers, bye.